listen to this episode if you want answers to some of your most burning questions in business. Today we're doing a Q&A episode. I basically put a message out there to our free community, the Small Business Cafe, and I said, what questions do you want me to answer? I'm answering them live on the podcast today, and I am going to go through those questions. I literally see more coming in as we speak. I'm so excited to do this. This is really one of my favorite types of episodes to do, so you can really get the answers to your questions, get the answers to the questions that are absolutely the most helpful for you. My goal here, as my position as a podcaster, as a business professional, somebody that really helps, is I literally do just want to help you in business. I want to help you grow your business, answer the questions. So when I hear from you, when I hear the episode, the questions that you actually have, it helps me tailor the episodes, the topics, and everything that we talk about. So without really further ado, I'm going to look at these questions for the first time with you. We're just going to go in and answer some of them there. Before we do that, I just want to say hello, welcome. If you are new here, my name is Madison Page. I am the host of the Small Business Growth Podcast. I'm a strategic advisor, a business growth specialist, where I help small businesses, product-based businesses, and startups be able to scale their business online through social media and their online channels. We're all about community here. This podcast I like to call kind of like sipping coffee with a biz bestie. I like to say it's a hyper conversational podcast. I want it to be where you and I are sitting face to face and having some raw and real and genuine business conversation. And if you don't know, I do have a completely free community, which is where all of these questions are coming from. It is called the Small Business Cafe. We chit chat in there. I answer your questions directly, and you can gain a community of other small business owners. The link for that is in the show notes. Otherwise, you can DM me on Instagram at thisismadisonpage. Just say cafe and I'll send you the link to join. Would love to have you in there. It's a great space to connect, gain more support from me, ask me questions, as well as I share some resources and insights that I have in there throughout the week as well. So without further ado, let's dive in to some of these questions. First things first, this question was asked by Heather. As someone who does small batches of collections and want to cater to an audience of collectors rather than just a constant stream of sales, what would be your main advice for growth? Multiple streams of income beyond my main product or artwork. What do you think the key to success is with that kind of model? I ask this because I'm not interested in wholesale or production, and she creates pottery. So she's a ceramicist. She does a lot of pottery things. So really what she's asking is, she's basically saying, I want to create products for people that want to invest in one really awesome product. Just because you are trying to attract an audience that really values investing in their pieces. Because if someone's going to buy a pottery, like handmade mug that really is intricate and it's a collector's piece, of course it's going to be a little more expensive. There are hours and hours and hours of your love and care into that piece. It's going to be a little more expensive. So Heather, just because I know your business a little bit, I know that you're saying, I want people that really want to invest in those pieces. Just because your audience is collectors doesn't mean that they only want one of your items. It is always going to be cheaper and easier to build a community of people that buy from you regularly than trying to always find new leads. There's some industries out there that, like wedding photography, that you will most likely only work with that person one, maybe two times for an engagement, wedding, maybe for baby and newborn shots. That type of industry is an industry that you have to work on getting new leads all the time. But in a product-based world where you are creating an audience full of collectors that really love your piece, we want to try to find ways that we can get those people to buy from you over and over again. This doesn't mean that you are not a business that needs a community. I think a lot of times in business, we try to find why we are the exception to this rule. You know, my product is different, my industry is different, but at the end of the day, it really isn't. We are still trying to build community, build a message around your brand, around your art. What does your art stand for? And what type of community of collectors are we getting? So what you're trying to do is build an audience full of collectors Call that out. Say you are somebody who loves X, Y, and Z, whatever style of art you have, whatever kind of your major message is, and you are looking for a collector's piece of X, Y, and Z, or you love one of a kind art that resembles this major thing. You need to really hone in your messaging on this type of person. So what would be your main advice for growth? Build a community of people that are absolutely obsessed with the message and the inspiration behind your art. Heather, because I know your brand a little bit, you're based in the Pacific Northwest. I know your style of art is a little bit more like foresty, kind of magical, kind of fairyland feeling-esque. What I want you to do is start creating content around the people that absolutely love that vibe. Create a community of people that are obsessed with that style through different messaging, calling them out directly. What do they really love? How can you educate them and how can you connect with them and create that community? And then we want a variety of different products, and hopefully they will buy a variety of different products from you. Are you looking for multiple streams of income beyond your main product or your artwork? Yeah, you can always expand if you want to, but I honestly would stick with the product that you have. You might be able to do cups and mugs and different vases and things like that, or you could do prints if you want to do prints of something, and have it just be around that brand. A telltale sign that you have a really solid brand is that you can expand into a bunch of different products and it sells very seamlessly to the community that you have. The key to success with this kind of business model is building a community that is obsessed with what you have, that naturally gets new people in, integrates into the community because they love your style, they love what your art stands for, and they want to continue to buy from you. You are not an exception to building a community because you are trying to create a community full of collectors. Collectors are still a community. If you really feel like people are going to buy one of your mugs, I have friends that have a bunch of mugs from one artist that are $100 plus because they absolutely love those mugs. They love the style of them. That doesn't just mean that that is all that they are going to want from there. The next question is how to incentivize repeat customers. I get a lot of new customers, but I don't actually have those people coming back time and time again. This is a really good question. How to incentivize repeat customers. The hardest purchase to get from somebody is the second purchase. If somebody buys from you a second time, they are much more likely to buy a third, a fourth, and a fifth. So what your most important thing is when you get a new customer is to try to incentivize that second purchase as quickly as possible. Of course, first things first, community, having an incredible product that people do want to come back, but there are some actual strategies here. First things first, strategy is definitely having a really solid email follow-up sequence that nurtures them before they even have your product. If they have a really great customer experience of working with you, that by the time they get their product, they've already gotten a couple emails from you that are getting them more and more excited. They then open your product with beautiful product packaging. They feel really, really like high levels of dopamine because they feel like they're opening a gift. They're really excited. They're running to the door when they get that email that it was delivered. They're opening it up. They're really excited. And then in that packaging, you actually have something that incentivizes that second purchase. They are much more likely to do it. Your major goal when somebody buys from you the first time is to increase dopamine in as many areas as possible. This can be in the initial receipt email that they get. This can be in emails that you are sending them before they even receive it, saying, hey, we're packaging up your order. I wanted to answer some frequently asked questions. This can be you sending, having some really fun packaging or some extra little bonuses in the packaging, whether it's samples or it's a nice little card or it's something that's free, that's kind of small, stickers, things like that, as well as incentivizing that second purchase right away. How we incentivize this second purchase is through dopamine in the first purchase, primarily, is if they love the product, of course, if they know how to utilize your product is really, really necessary. So answering any of those questions. And if you have a product that you can sample really easily, that maybe you want to get them to try another product, samples in products, product packaging definitely increases dopamine. They feel like they got something a little free, as well as it can cross-sell them into wanting to try another product. So if we're looking at how to incentivize repeat customers, it's definitely in the customer experience, the customer journey, and how much dopamine they feel when they receive your product, when they purchase your product. So we can't let them be like, shoot, was this a bad purchase? Shoot, should I have bought something else instead? Your overall focus is how to over deliver in the delivery process of their first purchase. Of course, there's so many things here, definitely focusing on building building community on your social media, building that in-demand energy, building that thing that people are really excited about, the high quality product that you have. But most definitely, if you want to incentivize repeat customers, that first purchase has to be so full of dopamine, and it definitely has to have them absolutely loving it from there. Next is best ways to convert from consistent email opener to client, or tips on how to use your email list to market your product or service more. This is really good. I get this a lot. I hear this a lot where people say, Maddie, people open my emails all the time. My open rate is fine. It's good. You know, an average open rate is 25%. So if you are over average of an open rate on your emails of 25%, you're doing all right. But people open them, but they don't buy from me. They don't actually convert. They're just a chronic email opener and they must delete it. They never actually move from it. How do I turn somebody into a chronic email opener and not purchaser into an actual community member, somebody that wants to buy, a customer, a client, whatever that looks like? To me, this means that there is a breakdown in information in the nurture phase. So if we look at a seamless sales system, your email list is oftentimes the end of your sales system. People are on your email list because they are your hottest and your warmest leads. Your email list is mostly selling content. You're telling people about your launches. You're telling people about your restocks. You're telling people about kind of that bottom of funnel things. You're trying to get people to purchase. But if people are opening it, it means they're interested, but they're missing some sort of information in order to actually be intrigued enough to buy for that first time. So what this tells me is we need to look at if these people are elsewhere in your marketing that is made to actually nurture. Are these people on your social media to be nurtured on your social? Are these people going to your podcast to be nurtured on your podcast? Are these people going to your Facebook group to be nurtured there? Where are you doing the majority of your nurturing? And how can we get these people that are actually on your email list and opening consistently to actually get more of that information? As well as how can we provide and answer some frequently asked questions and maybe nurture a little on your email list? A common problem that I see is, especially in the product-based world, is going to markets. You go to market, you have a piece of paper laying down that says, you know, put your email here and I'll send you a discount. You're trying to build that email list. However, your email list really is for that bottom of funnel people. Those people don't know you very well and they're not actually spending much time with you if they're not on your social media, if they're not following you elsewhere. And so the only thing they're getting is your bottom of funnel marketing, meaning you need to get them over to that nurture funnel marketing. So if you're at a market and you're putting a bunch of new people into an email list, those people don't know your product other than what they either bought or saw at that market. So we actually need to nurture them further. So what this means is we need a multi-channel marketing funnel. We need to send the people from your email list onto your social, onto your YouTube, onto somewhere that we can actually answer more questions for them, or send more nurture emails to your email sequence. So how do we turn somebody into a chronic email opener? It tells me that they are wanting more information. They're already interested. If we look at the sales funnel, it's awareness, interest, desire, action. They're stuck somewhere in the top half of that. They're interested. They might have a little bit of desire, but not enough to actually take action on it. So what we have to do is we have to focus more on that nurture phase within your marketing. We got to get people from your email list somewhere else to be nurtured a little bit more. Looking at more questions, this one was submitted by Catherine. She said, my goal is to build sales like everyone, LOL, but when you pay a booth rent and they sell your items, what do you consider a successful booth spot? Making any profit, making 3 times booth rent. I'm in multiple locations and feel like I have a lot of inventory on shelves, but not a lot of sales coming home with me. So I'm assuming, Catherine, that you are talking about booths in brick and mortar locations, meaning you have almost kind of like one of those mercantile booths that you are paying booth rent there, and what that really looks like. Catherine, this question really depends on how much your overall booth rent is and what that investment really is. But I say at least, the very least, you are making 150% of your overall investment, because that extra 50%, we're not looking to break even. We're not in the game of business to just break even on the investments that we have. You are at least looking to make back 50% of what that overall first investment was, if not 2 or 3 times. Of course, any bit of profit on top of what you're doing is successful. However, However, you have time, you have to refill that. It is effort that you are putting into these brick and mortar locations as opposed to all of these other things that you could be doing in your business. You have inventory there, you have sales that are not happening. So if you feel that you're in multiple locations, but you don't have a lot of sales coming home with you, to me, that means that those locations are not actually good locations for you. I do find that those more mercantile, kind of like unmanned booth locations are really hard to stand out because a lot of people are selling either something similar or there's just a lot of variety of products. And so the type of ideal customer that's coming in there is much more varied than somewhere that might be very specific. Maybe it's a boutique or something along those lines. So when I look at this, I want you to be having at least 150% of your initial investment. And that is the investment on the inventory in there, the investment on the booth rent. If you have to work, I know some of those you have to work like one Saturday a month or something like that. We have to at least put 50% of profit on top of whatever that investment is. And if not 2 to 3 times, I would say it is a worthwhile investment. If you are making 3 times your investment, I would keep it there all day long. But here you said I'm in multiple locations and feel like I have a lot of inventory on shelves, but I'm not making a lot of sales coming home with me. If you're not seeing the sales happen, girly, I would take that inventory elsewhere and try to push it online. Above all else, I really feel that spending your time and your effort and your money and your everything to really focus on building a community online is going to bring you sales back tenfold time and time and time again. If you can put your focus on how can I build my own community that wants to buy from me over and over and over again, you're never going to need to try to hunt down these sales from these different wholesale locations and things like that. So my 2 cents is if it feels like you don't have a lot of sales coming home with you, sounds like you might actually be losing money because you're sitting on that inventory elsewhere. Yes, I would definitely kind of look at what that looks like, really crunch those numbers. And if you don't at least have 150% of that initial overall investment back within maybe 3 to 6 months, then we might want to rethink that investment and having that booth rent there. Because we aren't in the game of business just to make a little bit of profit on something. That's not quite what makes sense for us. We are looking, and in order to have a business that is successful and thriving, we do need some profit coming in. The next one is my goal is to understand marketing, email, and social media. I do well when I'm at markets with my products. However, no sales outside of that, despite having a website and trying to be active on social media. Yeah, this is a great question. It's something that I definitely have full episodes all about why you're probably struggling to make sales online if you sell really well in person. What this means to me is that we have a messaging gap and we haven't actually found the proof of concept in the marketing strategy that you're currently using. Having a website and showing up on social media consistently is not enough to make consistent sales, is not enough to have people show up. It used to be. And honestly, I wish that could still be the case for everybody, is to just show up on social media. However, there are too many businesses on social media. There are too many dupes, too much competition everywhere. For your product right now, somebody can probably go on Amazon and find a really good replacement for it. So what you need to do is we need to really communicate the message as to why your product is that much better than everybody else's on the market, or why they should connect with you more than other people out there. And so if you're seeing a lot of people buying from you in person, it tells me your product is awesome. It tells me people love what you have, and when they experience it, they are buying it and they're excited about it. However, this also tells me that we haven't quite gotten the messaging, the marketing, and the content strategy in order to convert them. Social media is a sales ecosystem. It's the home of your community. It's where people feel a lot of connection with you. You need to identify why people buy from you. What emotion are they trying to experience, and what makes your product that much more different? And so this to me sounds like a marketing problem. Just having a website and having social media and showing up consistently is not enough to actually make sales anymore. I wish it was. That would be much easier on all of us. We all could be millionaires. However, we have to really separate ourselves from other people. We have to communicate a message. We have to create community with a very small kind of niche community in order to really get seen right now. So if you are seeing this, that you're not having any sales despite your having your website and showing up consistently, we need to do a big shakeup of what your social media looks like. We need to do a big shakeup of this type of content you're creating, having some variety out there. And like I said, just search on my podcast, like markets, or I'm making a lot of sales in person but struggling online. I have a lot of episodes on this topic, kind of really breaking it down, but it's all about building a sales ecosystem on your social media. Next question is by Amber, and I think Amber's question is going to resonate a lot with a lot of you guys. My biggest struggle currently is finding and keeping the motivation to keep going. I'm a stay-at-home mom, homeschool mom, and also an Enneagram 9, hello decision fatigue, and struggle to keep all of the moving parts moving. Amber, I hear you, I feel you, and you are so not alone here. You have a lot on your plate, girlfriend. You're a stay-at-home mom, you're homeschooling, you're a business owner, you're doing all of the things, and I absolutely commend you. At the end of the day, we only have so many marbles in our bag that we can give every single day. And if you are giving all of your marbles somewhere, to homeschooling, to keeping the house, to keeping your kids alive, to trying to do all of these other pieces, there are some things sometimes that need to give. I'm the first person to tell you that. And I'm not saying give up the business because you don't have the time for it, but there is usually something. We can't do everything. Despite what I would love to say, we only have so many hours in the day, and I want you to be sleeping your 8 hours a stinking day because you deserve it and we need it in order to be fulfilled, to be the mom that I know you want to be the homeschool teacher that I know you want to be. And so we only can have so many things on our plate. You know, right now, my major goal in business is to help people learn how to create freedom. So I just want to totally normalize that. You only have so much battery in every single day, so many hours, so many marbles, so many things that you can give. And the decision fatigue, I don't even have kids and I feel like I have decision fatigue. My least favorite question every single day from my husband is like, hey, what are we thinking for dinner tonight? Because I'm like, I just made so many decisions in my business all day long. That is the last decision I can make. So something to say here when it comes to keeping motivation. Keeping motivation a lot of times comes from feeling burnt out in other areas of your life. If you are lacking motivation or inspiration, to me, it tells me you aren't doing the things to actually fill your cup enough. And so what I would challenge you is ask yourself, this might sound totally backwards, when was the last time you stepped away from all of those things that you have on your plate with the achievements, the things that you are trying to accomplish, being a really great mom, a really great homeschool teacher, running a business, and just did something that actually really just filled your cup. And that might mean like having a babysitter come over where you can actually create something that is really fun for you to create. Or maybe you have to, you are just going and doing something, maybe it's with your kids, you go on a vacation or you do a staycation or you go and do something that really fills your cup. Because if you are lacking motivation and inspiration, a lot of times we need to find it elsewhere. However, I understand that you're like, Maddie, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for all of these things. At the end of the day, building a business takes time. It absolutely does. And so if we're looking for more of an emotional answer, my answer is, girly, you need a break to go do something and refill your battery. And it needs to be at least once a week, at least 1 hour of you doing something just for you. If there is so much research behind actually having a creative hobby for 45 minutes, just 45 minutes a week can improve so many areas of your life, your inspiration, your motivation, your creativity, your productivity. So I want you every single week to pencil something in on your calendar for at least 1 hour that this is your time to just fill your cup. Now, if we're talking a little more tangibly, how do we actually get everything in and do all of the things is having a really structured schedule. For me, if my calendar is not structured and organized, I am not productive. And it is this way for a lot of my clients as well. If you do have a lot on your list and you really want to make it all happen, you have to be that much more structured in what you're doing. You need to have a consistent wake up schedule. You need to pencil in time to work on your business because your business is something that can't just grow in an hour a week. It can, but it's going to grow a lot more if you can really specifically spend spend a lot of time on it. So now if I have clients, and again, this is different for everybody, I don't know what your schedule looks like. I have clients that will wake up at 5 a.m. because their kids don't wake up until 7. So they know they can have 5 to 7 a.m. as uninterrupted business hours. I have some clients that work from 8 to 10 p.m. because they know their kids are asleep from 8 to 10 p.m. and those are their business hours. If you have a lot of things going on out there, you need to know and understand when your business time is and be very structured with it and be very consistent with it. Having a plan, having a content calendar, having a schedule is absolutely going to help. Time blocking, what are those things? And I realize with kiddos and with homeschooling and with a business and with yourself, all of those things, your schedule might not actually be 100% organized and consistent every single day, but we do need to at least have non-negotiable hours that these are mom's business times. These are the things that we can do there. Maybe sometimes it makes sense to have a babysitter for a half a day. Maybe sometimes it makes sense to have somebody watch your kids for a few hours a week in order for you to actually have that rigid time. Whatever that looks like for you and your situation, everybody has a different level of support system and situation there, but having time that you know you can be very much so just connected to your business is absolutely going to help. Having a rigid structure, as well as do not underestimate the power of actually just having a strategy. I think a lot of times in the beginning of your business, the reason business is so frustrating is because you are doing all of this work and you're setting aside that time, you're working on your business, but it's not actually working for you. If you have a plan that you're confident in, that is kind of just like that rinse and repeat marketing plan, it actually allows you to just do the thing, execute, and know that it's going to work for you. I think a lot of times the reason is that you're winging it or you're DIYing your social media or your marketing or the things that you're doing, that you feel like you're working as much as you can on your business, but you're not seeing that growth because it's not actually effective. It's not actually working for you. And then that just gets more and more frustrating. So Amber, a couple of things here. One, take time for yourself. You absolutely need time for yourself to fill your cup. Everybody should have at least 1 hour of a creative hobby a week just to refuel your battery, or some sort of hobby, at least 1 hour a week on your calendar every single week. Another thing is be very structured with your calendar, with your organization. If you can, really utilize that Google Calendar. That girl is my bestie, all right? I live by my Google Calendar because it allows me to be more organized. I say this a lot, you have to be structured when you can be, so when you don't want to be, you don't have to be. So you have to be structured and disciplined on those days that you really can be and that you're feeling good about it, because on the days that you can't because your kid's sick or you have a lot going on, we have to be able to kind of ebb and flow there a little bit. Another one is if you can have that very structured business time on your calendar, it's going to make a really big difference, as well as following some sort of strategy that you have. The next one is as a makeup artist, the spring and summer months tend to be slower. I don't want to lose revenue during those months. Rather, I would like to offer another product, digital products. I think my biggest challenge is trying to offset revenue loss during the slower seasons because a lot of girls aren't getting their makeup done during the summer months. This is you got a lot going on here. And so this is a really good question. And it's one that a lot of people definitely relate to. You have physical products, lip glosses, makeup, things like that you sell. You have services. You do makeup for people, as well as you want to introduce digital products. I want to really caution you here, unless you have already figured out your marketing for the first two and you have a really solid community of people that are consistently buying from you, you have sales coming in, I would caution you to diversify in this amount of ways. Already, when we look at this product suite that you have a product, you have a service, and now you want to do digital products, we always want to look do these people all have the same ideal customer? Already with makeup services as well as a digital product, I would separate your socials because that audience is going to be a different audience. I would have a personal brand for your makeup artist that then funnels people into your physical product brand. This is why a lot of influencers have their influencer personal brand, and then they have a brand alongside of it. They don't all try to do it all on one platform. Why? Is because your ideal customer is slightly different. If you're doing something in person, that is going to be somebody that is local to you, meaning you need to find, unless you're going to travel, which you totally can, you need to create an audience that is very local and speak to them. But when you're also talking about your lip glosses, it's actually very hard for you to do that all on one page. And when you want to talk about lip glosses, then you have to talk to a more general audience. You're talking to people that could use it anywhere. Those two audiences are different, whether it's under like the makeup artist realm of digital products, meaning you're either teaching other makeup artists, or maybe you are putting an ebook out for people that are trying to do their makeup at home. That again is a totally different audience. So when we're looking at scaling and diversifying your product suite, something that you're trying to do here is we have to make sure that A, you already have the community that you're able to diversify, and B, we need to identify if these ideal customers are the exact same. Instead, I would rather us try to find a way to increase your makeup artistry during the spring and the summer, or increase your sales. Now, I want to say ebbs and flows in the world of any industry are normal. You're going to have slower seasons, but during those slower seasons is actually where your busier seasons get busier. So yes, we want to try to create more revenue during those times. Yes, we want to try to incentivize more sales during those times. Maybe you offer wedding makeup, or you're offering something new within the same audiences that you've already built. If you have digital products and services doing makeup artists, as well as you have a brand for your lip glosses, you basically have 3 different businesses under the guise of one business, and it's actually going to be really hard to sell. So I would err on the side of believing that we haven't quite mastered the marketing and the community building yet, in order to not have this big of a dip in your overall revenue. And now I might be wrong there. I would need to look a little bit deeper into your marketing, but I would rather try to fill the strategic gaps in the current products that you have, as opposed to trying to diversify too quickly. One of the worst things you can do is actually diversify your product suite too much. And these 3 products are really, really hard to all sell under one business. So unless you want to have 2, maybe 3 different socials that you are doing and kind of operating a couple of different businesses, I would actually try to go narrow and deep on the things that you're already trying to do and improve your overall conversions there, rather than actually overall expanding into new products. I want to see, why are people not hiring makeup artists as much in the spring and the summer? How can we fill that gap? And why are people not buying your lip gloss and your products during the spring and summer? How do we fill that gap? And if they are collectively actually a slower season, what are the things that we can do to work on the business during those months to actually start seeing those sales climb when the sales start to build? Because a lot of times people say, oh, it's just a slow month, but it actually is a strategic gap that we have in the actions. So I don't want to caution you to not do this without knowing the full spectrum of your business, but I want to caution you to not diversify to totally different industries, different ideal customers, until it comes a little bit more. Oh, so this person just responded in the Slack channel that we have, because I asked what type of digital products they're looking to have. They said they're thinking of a lip gloss application class, or even an ebook. So again, this is not something that, if people aren't buying your makeup artist like services, or they're not buying your lip gloss, what makes you think that they are going to buy a lip gloss application during this time? That is a wonderful freebie. It's a wonderful way to get people onto an email list. It's a great thing to work on your business, is developing some more of these intro kind of funnels into your business. I would rather you utilize this as a free resource to try to get more people into your business, grow your email list, and really try to build in that sense, as opposed to try to sell something like this as an ebook or a class or something like that. That is just it's going to make it harder for you to do it. Because if we are looking at this, if you do a lip gloss application class, you also do makeup artists, and you also are selling a product, they might correlate to each other, but they do have different ideal customers, people that want to get their makeup done by somebody else. people that want to learn how to better their makeup, as well as people that want to own their own makeup and, have the lip gloss out there. So you're really trying to go too wide as opposed to narrow and deep within your marketing. Today, we have covered motivation, we've covered sales, we've covered emails, we've covered how to get repeat customers, we've covered product suites, we've covered in-person sales, we've covered so many different bases. Thank you all for your questions. If you have a specific question you would like me to answer, make sure that you join the Small Business Cafe. We have a whole channel devoted to Ask the Host, where I am answering your exact questions right in the channel, and then I develop it a little bit deeper right on the podcast. This is also where I choose full podcast episodes on. So if you want more support, it is a wonderful place to join. It's called the Small Business Cafe. You can DM me on Instagram at This Is Madison Page. Just say cafe and I would love to send you the link. Otherwise, it is in the show notes as well. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I really love to actually provide raw and real and genuine business advice based on your exact burning questions, because I really am here to overall support you. If you have a question, make sure you join the cafe. I would love to see you inside. If you just want more support, you want to get these questions answered more often, click the link in the show notes. You can join the cafe. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always. I will see you in the cafe and in the next episode.